All right, it is Thursday, June 24th. NBA playoffs have been fantastic so far. We are currently in the early stages of the conference finals. We've seen basically every round, every series, every matchup. There have been young players who have been showing up and, putting the teams on their back, so to speak. So with that in mind, instead of kind of doing another talking about the playoffs whole spiel, let's talk about the best young players in the game through this version we're going to do, which is we're going to draft teams, basically. We're just going to draft a team of 10 players under the age of 25. There's no real end to this thing. There's no competition after. We're not going to get them out on the court. But I thought it'd be fun.
Yeah, I mean, you can't not watch Trae Young torching teams, and you can't not watch Devin Booker torching teams and think this is a little different, than we've had in years past. The amount of incredible talent that we have, and you see that across all the sports. Honestly, you're seeing it with quarterbacks in the NFL. Also, it's just young guys who have been playing in basketball specifically. Young guys playing AAU for years. And just getting up shots for years and modeling themselves after some of their favorite players and developing their games. And by the time they get to the NBA, they're not polished, but they're already sort of they're able to show you what they can do at a quicker in a quicker way, at a quicker pace. And so as we draft here, let's go through some of the rules. We are drafting 10 players.
Yep. There
are 5 positions in basketball. So the way I'm thinking is we draft pretty much 2 of each position. Okay. I think that would be the best, just so that we have a starter and a backup. Let's talk the flexibility. What kind of flexibility will you accept for the positions?
That's the tough thing here. I'm wondering if instead of going straight up positions, i.e. point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, center, whatever, we kind of go maybe all NBA formats where they have guard, forward, and then center. Maybe we go 4 guards, 4 forwards, 2 centers. Something like that?
Okay. I will accept that. Yeah, because I think with guys like Luka, he's the ball handler, but he's a small forward or a shooting guard, but you could also say he's the point guard. You could do the same thing with Ben Simmons. You could say he's a power forward, a small forward, or a point guard.
You could say he's trash.
You could say you could say people will say.
Some people, that's what people are saying. My bad. This is not the pod for that. Save it for the off season.
But then there's other guys like Donovan Mitchell, who, also primary ball handler, but kind of more of a shooting guard, but also point guard when Mike Conley's out. So there's just a lot of flexibility. Jason Tatum, small forward, power forward. Zion, power forward, point guard, center. So yeah, I will accept the guards, forwards, centers format.
Groovy. Now, what are you thinking about? Are we drafting these players in terms of how you want them this year? Is this a 1-year thing, or do you want to do more so if you're picking guys you want over the next 5 years?
You have to. This is a draft,
Right.
So in keeping with draft tradition, you have to consider the upside of some of these players. I don't want to spoil any potential picks here in the future, but guys like DeAndre Ayton, who are just excelling right now in the playoffs, they still have a lot of room to grow. And so it's hard to not consider that when you're looking at some of the guys that you could pick at center.
James Wiseman, for
example.
Not there yet, but the tools are phenomenal. Maybe someone's very intrigued by him in the draft.
By the way, I love the idea of doing a 2-person draft.
Yeah.
where I don't think this will be the case for this one, but I like the idea of a 2-person draft where both parties have completely differing ideas of what they want. So there's no stress or competition whatsoever. There's so many things to consider also, aside from just upside, also how these players fit with each other. I think that I would have initially been I'm not going to take Trae Young and Luka and Zion. But with what happened with James Harden in Brooklyn this year, I kind of feel like anything's possible because, we would have looked at James Harden and said, there's no way he could be on a team where he's not the primary ball handler because he doesn't do anything off the ball. And he has to be the primary scorer. And this year he shifted his game quite a bit. His assist numbers went up.
It's insane.
Yeah. So it's a completely different James Harden. And so
he doesn't even need to score now. He's fine, I'll just get 18 assists a game.
Yeah. Which is awesome. Much credit to him. So in that same way, I would have said okay, Trae Young, has to have the ball in his hands most of the time. Luka has to have the ball in his hands most of the time. But in this hypothetical made up draft that we're doing, I don't care.
Our coaching staffs are going to find a way to make it work.
Exactly. Our legendary coaching staff. We should figure out who that'll be at the end.
Alrighty. You want to get into the coin toss to determine who has the number 1 pick? Now, for the folks at home, what we're doing, whoever wins the coin toss gets to pick if they have the number 1 pick or if they have picks 2 and 3. And then we'll go 1 and 1 after there. Say I get the first pick, I go 1, then Dan goes 2 and 3, and then I'd have 4, he'd have 5, etc., etc.
Or if I got the first pick. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and flip the coin. Go ahead and call it.
I'm going tails never fails, baby.
It is indeed tails.
All right. Ooh. Now, here's the question. Do I want the number 1 pick or do I want 2 and 3?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think I'm going with 2 and 3 here.
Bold choice. Bold choice.
I'll let you make the decision here.
I think that's smart because I think it adds a lot of clarity for what you might want to do rounding out your team. Because I think the obvious first overall pick is Luka Doncic. And I'm going to go ahead and take him with the first overall pick. You know, our father, Bill Simmons, continues to say he continues to say that he's the best 22-year-old basketball player that he's ever seen. And I think that's startling. I mean, we were just talking about potential versus what you are now. Well, if I only get what he is now, I'm getting a all NBA player for the foreseeable future. A 2-time all
NBA player.
That's right. And if he is, which I expect him to be, still working at his game, and if he does in fact continue to improve on some of the areas that he needs to improve on, then I think the sky is the limit for Luka. And so I think just about anyone would take Luka number 1. I think there is, I'm sure, I have a feeling who you're going to take number 2, and I think that there is. I think
you know who I'm going to pick, because I don't stop talking about this guy.
Yeah.
With the number 2 pick, I'm going Jason Tatum.
Absolutely.
I have a huge, man crush on Jason Tatum. I think he is a truly phenomenal player, both ends of the floor. And I've said multiple times that I think one day he is going to win an MVP. And I don't think that day is too far off from now. He's terrific. He can do anything you want him to do. I would like to see him improve, his playmaking a little bit more, being a facilitator, but I think he's terrific. He's one of those guys who's on a Hall of Fame path for me.
And he also provides you a little flexibility because he could play the small forward, he could play the power forward, he could play both. He's a two-way guy. He's really just an incredible talent. And I thought that if you did get the first pick, you might shock us all and take Jason Tatum. And I don't think it would be. I don't think it would be crazy. About it. Luka to the under 25 crowd is like what LeBron is to the over 25 crowd, where it's like, oh, it's just an obvious, like it's a given. It's almost so obvious that you kind of take him for granted. Luka is the same way. It's like he is so incredibly talented that of course he's going to go number 1 overall, but the consolation prize at number 2 is Jason Tatum. That's a hell of a consolation prize.
All right. So then that leaves me now with pick number 3. And this is honestly to me where it gets tough. Like once we get into this, I think those 2 of the under 25 guys to me are like the top 2 guys. And then I think it's Luka, a little bit of a gap, Tatum, a little bit of a gap, and then there's a whole cluster of like 6 guys in there. I don't know if this is just recency bias, but I'm going to go with Devin Booker.
No, that's a good pick.
Because I think just seeing what he's done over the last, I don't know, the NBA playoffs are so long, 8 months or so. Is that how long the playoffs are?
Yeah, just about.
I don't know, 2 months. It's actually been 2 months. I think what he's done, one of those guys who's like taking a step forward in the playoffs, and you can totally see him being a leader on the team. Great mid-range game, which I love. I'm a sucker for the mid-range game. I think it's a lost art. I like what I get with him. I think he's another guy, Hall of Fame path.
Yeah, and can take over a game, but also can play off ball. I mean, with the game winner, DeAndre Ayton, he's the one hitting the screen. Yeah, so that was beautiful. I can't wait to talk about that on our next NBA pod, by the way. That was what a game. Okay, so you take Jason Tatum and you take Devin Booker. I'll tell you what, if I got 2 and 3, I think that's exactly what I would have done also. And also I don't care about recency bias because this will always change. 3 years ago, Karl Anthony Towns was the number 1 overall pick by actual NBA GMs. for guys under 25 that they would start a franchise with.
And I forgot he was under 25 and almost didn't put him on this list.
Yeah, and we'll see. We'll see if he goes. We'll see if he falls. I don't know what's going to happen there. Stay tuned to find out. Okay, I'm going to go ahead. He's not the best player available, but I think he's going to lock up on defense. He's going to lock up on offense. I'm going to go ahead and take Bam Adebayo.
Damn, that was going to be my next pick.
As I'm putting together my little team here, I've got Luka. He's all right on defense. He's not special on defense. Still a lot of room to grow. I want a lockdown defensive center who can also score and you can trust in the final minutes of the game, and that's Bam Adebayo. He's arguably one of the best defenders in the NBA. If not for Rudy Gobert, like if Rudy just didn't exist, then it's pretty much Bam, like at the center position.
Well, okay, hold on. Let's not give Rudy that much credit there. I think Bam's a better defender than Rudy. Rudy got freaking exposed in these playoffs.
Totally agree.
And I think Bam, my argument why Bam is I think Bam could do more than Rudy can. I think he can switch Bam onto smaller guys. Rudy is obviously like a wonderful paint protector in the drop coverage, but Bam can do that and can get out on the perimeter and stop guys. I don't think teams are going to build their whole offensive attack like the Clippers did in those last few games on attacking Bam Adebayo.
I totally agree. And what I meant was not so much like if... What I mean is like if Rudy wasn't the 3-time defensive player of the year, then we would be talking about Bam Adebayo, because obviously like also Draymond Green is technically a center. You know, he's a small ball center. So he's the best defensive player in the NBA. But yeah, so Bam gives you exactly what you just said. You could switch him. He can play the bigs. He could play the smalls. He can pretty much do whatever you ask of him. And with my second pick, it's flexibility that I was looking for. He is both an offensive and defensive talent, and I think he's going to give me exactly what I need, and he's also going to complement Luka in the best possible way.
Yeah, and I think you went with a little bit of strategy there too, because I think the center position is a little thinner than some of like, you know, just because there are so many wings and guards and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you got, I think, probably the best center on this list here of under 25 guys. So that leaves me up now. I think I'm going to go with Zion. I'll put him at my other forward position with Tatum. The hype was so big on Zion coming in that people really like had a good time bashing him and trying to bring him down.
Yeah.
Just being haters for the sake of being haters. And he's lived up to the expectations so far. I personally had him on one of my All-NBA teams when we did our pod. He didn't end up making it. And I think that... I don't even think he's at the ceiling yet of what he could be. Now, if we're talking long term, I think there are some health concerns just because anytime you have to teach someone how to run again isn't encouraging.
No, that's tough.
But I think there's lots of things you could do. I think he could become a better defender because I think in a lot of ways defense in the NBA is just like athletic ability plus effort and then plus like mental know-how. And I think, you know, I think he'll get there one of these days. And, you know, if he can get a little better of a touch shooting wise, he could be something really special. But just what he can do with you right now, there's kind of not, in a similar way to Giannis, there's kind of no one who can stop him when he gets a full head of steam and is driving to the paint. It gives me lots of options with my team here. I like the pick.
It does, because also you've got Devin Booker and Jason Tatum. You could stretch them out. And you can put Zion down in the paint and just let him rumble, which is an exciting option. And if there's nothing down there, he can just toss it out to two incredible shooters that have both scored over 60 points in huge games. Okay, I've got Luka, I've got Bam Adebayo. I am going to go to the guards, and it's really between two guys here. One is sort of a recency bias guy, and the other has led his team to the playoffs multiple years. But I'm going to go recency bias. I'm going to take Trae Young.
Yep.
I am going to take Trae Young. I've done such a turnaround on Trae Young. And I want to just real quick pinpoint why that is, because his talent is unquestionable. It's immense. He's a really great shooter, but he's also a terrific ball handler. So that's very exciting. I like what he gives me for this team. But what's so weird is like, I hated him coming out of the draft. And we've been on the record about how we don't hate players anymore because we've grown up. We're adults.
We are adults now.
We're not children.
We've graduated college.
We are good people, and we don't hate on players because it doesn't make any sense. But when he came out of college and into the NBA, no one was no one was rooting for him. Like everyone laughed at him so hard when he just was throwing up bricks during summer camp. I think that the reason I hated him was just because he shot the ball a lot. And I was defensive about Steph because everybody wanted to anoint the next Steph Curry and everyone was doing that. And as you've seen him in these playoffs, it's like, he's actually not the next Steph Curry. You know, if you want to compare him to anyone else, it's just not him. It's not Steph Curry. No. It's more Nash. It's more of a number of other guys. And so I think it was just like a defensive-ness. And I feel like most people had that. And the fact that Trey has taken on like this sort of villainous persona, he's playful.
He's the heel.
Yeah, he's playful with the idea because like, I'm sure he's a nice guy, but the fact that he's like putting on the black cowboy hat is really kind of charming, honestly. Yeah. And he's just torching teams right now in the playoffs. And I think that he has grown so much like DeAndre Ayton, much like a couple of these other guys that are going to be on the list. He's just grown so much, and through the experience that he's had this year in the playoffs, I think you can definitively say, much like Devin Booker, he's no longer just a good stats, bad team guy. He's a leader, and he has led his team all the way to the conference finals, which is really impressive. So right now I've got Trae Young, I've got Luka, and I've got Bam Adebayo.
That's a good start there. I think the Luka/Trae pick and rolls with Bam would be super fun.
Yeah.
Like that's some fun stuff there. I can just already see Trey going to the lane and doing his floater/alley-oop thing that you can't tell what the difference is between them.
Yeah.
So my turn now. There's someone I want to take just because I like him a lot, but I think for, the construction of my team here, I'm going to get my other guard position sorted out, and I'm going to get Donovan Mitchell.
Yep, that's who I was going back and forth with.
Again, another guy who... Like, I was watching him these playoffs, and I out loud just said one game, in a game that they lost to, I'm like, this dude's going to win an MVP one day. Like, you can kind of just feel it, and you see it. He's very, I think I've heard other people make this comparison, but he's very, like, Wade-esque.
Yes.
He plays the game very similarly to Dwayne Wade, who's now, like, a mentor to him, because Dwayne Wade owns the Jazz, which I didn't know about until a couple weeks ago. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember I heard something about that. But he's a guy who I think really can do it all. He can kind of be, the point guard if you want him to. He can play off the ball. He can get to the basket. He can shoot. Love the guy.
Such a high energy guy. It seems like, we've learned a lot about saying positive things about athletes in this last year. So I'm not going to say he's a high character guy, but he appears to be.
Too?
Yeah. He appears to be a high character guy. A leader. He's been a part of playoff teams for a few years now. Just a guy that you'd love to have in your locker room and on your court. So I think that that's a very good pick. I was going between him and Trey, and I think either one is an exceptional choice. Okay, so I've got myself a guard. I've got a Luka, which is a forward guard. Wherever. Yeah, and I've got Bam at the center. I'm gonna go ahead and take Brandon Ingram.
Okay, interesting.
I like what Brandon Ingram provides. I think that he's kind of had the worst possible start to his career that he could ever have.
The classic, if you play it out 10 times, this is one of the worst outcomes for him.
Exactly. And so I love his length. I love his athleticism. I love what he can bring. He could play a little small forward. He could play kind of shooting guard. He could be a smaller, not a smaller ball power forward, but in terms of the way that he plays. So I'm just going to throw him in there because I think he's like a walking 20 points in the right system. And
okay.
And I like him. And I think that in an ideal world, he will give me a lot. And I think he could play. I think his future on defense is brighter than it has been in the past.
There's a lot of tools there. Do you think he needs a change of scenery?
Yeah.
Just really quick. We'll talk about this later on, but do you think the fit in New Orleans is really working there?
I think it's really tough to say because what Van Gundy was doing this year was really perplexing. Like Brandon Ingram probably got lost a little bit in that. So maybe under the right circumstances with the right coach coming in, they could fix it. But I do think it would probably be best if he went to another team because I'm not totally clear on the Zion Brandon Ingram combo. But I think it could possibly work.
Another topic we can cover extensively in our off-season pod coming out in a couple months. Do I have to pick a center before I go to my bench? Do I have to fill out my starting lineup first?
No, you could go to your bench.
Okay. I'm going to pick a guy who I think is super versatile. And another guy who I just love. I'm going Jaylen Brown.
Yeah, I knew it.
I love me some Jaylen Brown. He's a Cal guy. He went to Cal. Jaylen Brown really took the leap this year. into like that kind of like Bradley Beal-ish range where he's kind of like a borderline all NBA guy. I love what I get out of him. Just, I feel like a great, six man on my team here, can play multiple positions, can defend multiple positions. I like his shooting touch. I love the player that he's turned into. And he just, again, we've said it before, and we'll be cautious of this phrase, but he seems like a really high character guy. But the type of guy who could be like VP of the Players Association. Like stuff like that.
Yeah, just a super smart person. And you see this correlation often. Some of the smartest players in the NBA are two-way guys.
Right. And look, if we get into this situation now, if I want to play Zion at the 5 and go small, I'm running out on the court with Donovan Mitchell, Devin Booker, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and Zion. If we want to go small.
If we want to go small, which we will. I'm sure we will. That's up for our coaching staff to decide.
Yeah, legendary coaching staff.
Yeah, I think that's a good choice. Going with two-way guys is always smart. You can always justify it. If a guy can play really good defense, even if they give you a mediocre night of offense, you'll find that somewhere, hopefully. But like defense is so much of effort and an IQ that takes a lot longer to figure out for most guys. And so I think that that's a great pick here. I was considering taking him there as well. Okay, my next pick, I'm going to go ahead and go with a guy that I mentioned on our preview pod, a guy that I was hoping would take a leap. I think he improved. I still think that there is room to grow. I'm going to go ahead and take De'Aaron Fox.
Nice.
De'Aaron Fox is so goddamn fast.
Yep.
Like stupid fast. I think that he's just a walking 22 plus points a game. He's always going to get to the basket. He improved his 3-point shot this year from last year. Last year was abysmal. He shot like 270. This year it was higher. I want to say it was like 330. So there's still a lot of room to grow on the 3-point percentage. But as long as you're hitting timely buckets, that's all that really matters. And he's another one of those guys that's been on a bad team for a number of years. Let's put him on this team with guys like Bam and Brandon Ingram and Luka and Trae Young. And let's see what he can do.
Ain't no super teams here.
So yeah, I'm going to take De'Aaron Fox because I think that there is still a lot of potential there. And I think that just what he gives you is incredible offense and incredible athleticism. The kind of athleticism that I don't think exists so much as we go further down the board here.
Yeah, I think there's one player who's actually like kind of like a carbon copy of him on this list still, who I kind of think they're very similar. I don't know if this is one of the toughest ones for me. I'm going to go with Karl Anthony Towns here.
Yeah.
Which I don't know what to make of this guy.
It's almost a begrudging pick, It's like everything makes sense, but I don't know if I should, and I was feeling that as well.
I'm like, okay, he's obviously extremely talented, but I don't want to use this word, but he seems kind of soft.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I know he's had a horrible year, and it's not even related to that. I mean more like physically how he plays the game.
Yeah.
Is kind of soft, and I don't know if he's like the guy. It's so tough to put into words like what Karl Anthony Towns is, but if we're just talking from like a basketball standpoint, the talent is clearly there. He can play in the post, he can make shots, he can facilitate the ball, he can get rebounds, but he's just kind of like missing something to him, which is I think why like the talent to draft pick correlation in this draft here didn't quite equal out.
Yeah, I was struggling with Karl Anthony Towns as well because he is elite offensively from that position, but his reluctance to play center is kind of peculiar. I think that speaks to sort of the quote unquote softness sort of thing. Mm-hmm. It's like it doesn't seem like he wants to get dirty down in the post on defense. He would prefer to stay out as much as he can. But I think Karl Anthony Towns still, if he's not your 1, if he's not your 2, he's the best 3. So I think that's a good pickup here at this point in the draft. So I've got 5 would-be starters. Depends on who I pick up. I might move one of them in or out of the starting lineup.
Shift the lineup around?
Yeah, we can make some changes here. Okay. I'm going to go with my heart on this one, and I'm going to jump the line a little bit because I think there's some guys that maybe are more talented, but I'm going to take DeAndre Ayton.
Oh my goodness, you bitch. I was literally going to pick DeAndre Ayton with my next pick to solidify myself. If we get into a situation where Cat's being too soft and we got to deal with a big physical center down there.
I have always loved DeAndre Ayton because as soon as he got drafted, like half a year into the season, it was like, oh, bust, just by comparison to some of the other guys that were in the draft. And I always felt like he was sort of the underdog player. He's just like a really nice guy, really sweet. He doesn't have to impose himself. He can, and he will, and he can win you a game in the playoffs like he just did. And he could put up 20 points. He could get you 12 rebounds. He could play. He plays within the game, like that is around him. He is a perfect moldable, fittable kind of guy to put on a team, and I just love the way he plays. And I think he's got so much room for improvement too. And I think the confidence that he gained this year is just going to be. I mean, it's going to be so much next year. Like I think that there's just going to be an explosion next year, and everyone's going to be eating their hats and their pants and their shorts. I don't know what the expression is, but getting DeAndre Ayton here at this point in the draft as my number 2 center, I feel really very, very happy about.
Yeah, and I'm very sad about it because I wanted to pick him. Okay, so I got to rework the game plan here. I think I'm just going best player available here, and I'm going to pick Ja.
Great pick.
Ja's terrific. Another guy who, kind of has that future MVP feel to him. This was a scrappy Memphis team this year.
Fun team.
And he kept them in a series that against Utah where they should have been just blown out every single game. He kept them in it, and they even stole a game. I love what I'm getting from Ja. I think he's uber athletic. I think he's a leader. I wish the shot was maybe a little better, and I think it can get there. But I'm going Ja here.
He's really great at getting himself to the basket. I'd put him up there with any of the best guys. I'd put him up there with Russell Westbrook in terms of just athleticism to the basket. Just where he's going, and you still can't stop him. It's kind of annoying. If you're playing against him, it's like we know what to do, but we can't do it because he's so quick off the dribble, 2 steps, and he's already there. He flies on the court. So I think that's a good pick. And I do think he will get better at shooting, but even if he doesn't, Memphis seems like they're able to build around what his talents are. Similarly to how Zion can and probably will get better at shooting, but when you put him into the post and you let him just drive to the basket, that's the best version of who he is.
Right.
Okay. So got a number of guys here.
Dude, there's so many fucking good guys left on this list.
Yeah, there's going to be so many dudes that get left off.
I'm just looking at this and I'm like, damn, I only got 3 picks left. Are we sure we can't stretch this out to 12 guys per team? Get a couple wild card bench warmers in there.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go with John Collins. I've always loved John Collins. I've always been really high on John Collins, and I think that with the way that Trae Young has been playing, it's very easy to just look at him and say oh, this is why Atlanta is Atlanta this year. But a lot of it is also John Collins. He does a lot of stuff that goes a little bit unnoticed. He is figuring out who he is in the NBA. What I'm getting from him again is just you're getting 20 points. You're going to get rebounds. You're going to get a guy who understands offense and defense. I still think that there's room to grow on defense, but I just like John Collins. I think as a guy on my bench, I couldn't ask for more right now.
That's a real solid pick there. He's made strides. He's going to get paid this year. My pick now, who do I pick? I'm going to take another guard here. I'm going Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Great pick.
SGA. I feel like he's such an under the radar guy because he's in Oklahoma City, but he only played 35 games this year. But let me just read you his line really quick. 23.7 points, 4.7 boards, 6 assists, shot 50% from the field, 42% from the 3-point line, 80% from the free throw. He's a guy who I think can kind of do a little bit of everything. He's got size. I'm a big fan. I think what he can do if, OKC can kind of build this team up a little bit with all those assets they have. I think he's another guy who one of these days could reach that superstar level.
And you know what else is exciting is the fact that, like, because OKC has been in this rebuilding project and they haven't dealt him. Like, they haven't started from scratch. They know that what they have in him is really solid and that they can build around him as they're rebuilding, which is particularly exciting. I think also the time that he spent with Chris Paul was probably invaluable. That probably taught him a lot. And I think that being able to see him play kind of both guard positions is also really nice.
Yeah.
Great pickup here. I am going to go ahead and take, I think my next 2 picks are going to be guards. No, I've changed my mind.
No.
I've just looked at the list. Yes, I've changed my mind again. I've looked at the list again. I'm going to take LaMelo Ball.
I can get on with that. Yeah.
I'm taking LaMelo more for like a scheme fit thing here, even though this is a silly all-star team. I have like 2 incredible guards in Trae Young and De'Aaron Fox who are unbelievable offensive guys, but De'Aaron Fox, not the greatest facilitator of the basketball. LaMelo, what he does is facilitate the basketball. He's going to play really good defense. He's going to give you a lot of hustle as like the 6th man on a team. Like, that is an incredible asset. I think what he did this year was really impressive. I thought he was by far the best rookie. I think he kind of exploded in a way that I just did not expect. Again, a player that I was kind of down on initially coming out of the draft and then just immediately changed my mind. So welcome to the team, LaMelo. I'm happy to have you, but your dad can't stay.
Your dad has to get away from the team at all costs. All right. We each got 8 at this point, I think. I'm going to run through the teams really quick.
Okay, yeah.
You got Luka, Bam, Trae, De'Aaron Fox, Brandon Ingram, John Collins, DeAndre Ayton, LaMelo Ball.
That's right.
Real solid squad. I got Tatum, Booker, Donovan Mitchell, John Morant, Zion, Jaylen Brown, SGA, and Karl Anthony Towns.
Incredible.
I need like another wing and another center right now, I think, is what I'm looking at. And yes, at this point, I am kind of just stalling, looking through the list and trying to figure out. I'm going to go with Bridges. I think he is going to win a Defensive Player of the Year one day. He is an elite stopper, an elite wing defender. His just length is insane. And he's turned into a real nice 3-point shooter. He shot 42% this year. I think he's another guy where I don't think like he's done developing yet into the player that he is. I like him, and I think he adds a good fit to my team here.
Okay, that's a good pick. I am going to go ahead and take a guy that is known for defense. I want to get stronger on defense, so I'm going to take OG Anunoby.
Love it.
Just a dog. Because right now I'm solidifying my backups, and so I think he works perfectly as like my second unit, incredible defensive guy. On my second unit, it would be him and LaMelo and John Collins and DeAndre Ayton. So I think that he would lock up anybody else's small forward that we're going up against, and he hangs his hat on defense. He can play. He's a good offensive player as well. But like, I value defense so much,
right?
Even though
he's
like
a 40% 3-point shooter too.
Yeah, he can spot up, shoot. So yeah, I feel really good about that. I'm happy that I was able to get him. I like Bridges for you. I was considering taking him with this pick as well, but OG falling into my lap is very good.
Right. My last pick here. This is very, very tough here. I need another center.
Right.
And there's a couple of guys who...
As far as I'm concerned, there's only one guy.
Well, no. I mean, is there?
Oh, I think we both know that there is one guy at the center position.
Oh. Taco Fall.
Taco Fall.
No, as a joke, I would pick Taco, but... I love Taco. I love the Bill Simmons theory of why don't they just play Taco 10 minutes a game and discombobulate the other team?
Yeah, just see what happens.
Look, I signed Taco in all my NBA 2K franchises because he's always a free agent because no one wants him. It's very fun. I was playing it last night. Anyways, I think, I don't know if this is even the best person who could play the 5 left, but for what I need here, I think I'm going with Miles Turner.
It's a good pick. Yeah.
I think Miles Turner is kind of one of the most slept-on players in the league. He's an elite interior defender. He's got touch. He's like a 34% 3-point shooter, 35%, something like that. I also will say, just for the record, I really did consider picking James Wiseman here because I think that Wiseman, well, if we did go to 12 guys on this list, I'd probably end up picking him at some point because I think that I could stash him on the bench, but he's not the player he's going to be yet. And I think the elite physical tools that he possesses are off the charts. There's a lot of projecting going on there, but I think he could be a top end player. But back to Turner, I just love what he would bring to our team with the shot blocking ability, the paint protection. We can still stretch the floor out with him a little bit. I'm a fan.
I am as well. I think that's a good pick. And so that's your final pick. I've got one more. I need another guard. And so I'm going to take what I think is one of the best players available, Jamal Murray.
Okay, nice.
I really like Jamal Murray. I think that we all fell in love with him last year during the bubble when he went on just the most unbelievable tear. And then he played very well again this year. I think there was an expectation that he was going to play as well as he did in the bubble. And of course, he did not meet that because that's impossible. Still played such a huge role on a Denver team that was really good. And if they had Jamal Murray, I don't think that makes them finals contenders or anything, but they definitely, they don't get bounced the way that they did. They probably still lose the series, but I like Jamal Murray is what I'm trying to say. And so as my backup guard, I think that he is an energy guy. He's a leader. He's a guy that you would get hyped for. The crowd loves him out there in Denver.
That's our guy. That's our leader.
That's our guy. And so I think he also adds a lot of offense to my second unit because LaMelo Ball, primary ball handler and facilitator. I think Jamal Murray can get himself to the hoop. He could get some shots up, and I like what he's able to provide.
This was a fun exercise here. I enjoyed doing this. I want to just read off some of the players that are left just so the folks at home can get an idea of how immensely talented the young guys in this league are, because we just picked 20 of them. And there are still guys on this list, Sabonis, Jaren Jackson Jr., Ben Simmons, D'Angelo Russell, Michael Porter, Tyler Hero, Anthony Edwards, who I think you could make an argument that could be on this list of 20 guys. Wiseman, we talked about, Halliburton, RJ Barrett, DeAndre Hunter, Rui Hachimura, PJ Washington, Colin Sexton, DeJounte Murray is a guy who I think is hella good. Dylan Brooks showed up in the playoffs. Kristaps has at one point, if you did this list 3 years ago, Kristaps is probably one of the top guys. Christian Wood had a great year. Jared Allen, Malik Beasley, Kevin Porter Jr. is a guy who I think if we did this again next year, with what he did in Houston in his short time there, I think would maybe have one of the last spots. Lou Dort, everyone loves Lou Dort. I think Lou Dort's phenomenal.
Yeah.
All sorts of great guys on this list. Yeah, a lot of fun. The league's in a really good place right now.
I don't know if it's going to continue to get better forever, or if we're in this incredible heavenly period where we're just getting the best.
Golden age.
Yeah, we could be in the golden age. You never know. So really, don't take it for granted.
Hell yeah, that's a great point. That's about it for us today. I think a lot of fun here. Watch the playoffs. The ratings have been up this year, so all those people talking about, no one wants to see Phoenix and Utah, Phoenix and Milwaukee, whatever it is, fans have been watching it. Yeah, we'll be back with you with some more NBA content in the off season. After the finals, we'll get at you with some NFL stuff. We're wrapping up the Bong Joon-ho series too. Lots of fun stuff on the horizon. Thank you guys for listening. Let us know who you think the best NBA player under 25 is. Besides Luka, because I think that's pretty obvious. Yeah. That's all for us here. Thank you guys for listening. Like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Press a button. I've been Jack Hubert. He's Daniel Elmore. We'll catch you next time.